recorded. That's a good thing. We can send this out to them. But at homecoming, we had three breakout sessions, and it was on service titan, and it was a range of things that we covered from porting numbers, kind of our first meeting. And one of the things that that came up was our big board, the changes that have been made to it, and how to go about and set up the information on the front end so that the information flowing into the big board will be correct and useful for you guys to coach your guys. So I talked to everyone. We thought it was a good idea that Josie gets on here since she's the expert and kind of show us what is going to be taking place and is available to you guys now as far as the big board and updating it. And so with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Josie and show us what's going on.
Okay, so if you guys haven't already looked at it or played with it, excuse me, the big board is under reports. If you click on the left-hand side under franchise, or if you just type in big to the search box, it's the very, very first big board report. So you just click on that. Oh, one thing I do want to mention, even though it says it here, that the big board is going to be based on job completion date. So as long as the job is completed and it has a completed date, that's what it'll pull based on. It won't. It doesn't matter if it's been batched, posted, exported, all that other fun stuff. As long as it's been completed, that's what drives the big board. So click the report. You can select one particular class code or run your business as a whole to see that broad perspective. You can zoom down on one technician or leave it set to all. If you leave it set to all and you have any technicians that are inactive, so let's say that you ran the report for this entire first quarter or the beginning of the year, if you have anybody who's left you, they'll still show up if they've had jobs completed. So just a heads up on that. If you happen to see an old technician pop up, that just means they had a completed job. So you pick a date range, and I'll kick it out. And then the board will run. Now, what may end up happening is because I know that if I move this particular board to a like a laptop screen, you'll have to kind of scroll back and forth at the bottom. But I guess this monitor is a decent size, and it's not telling me that I need to scroll back and forth. So additional tasks is any invoices that have a task code that's marked as add-on. So let me show you that real quick. Actually, I'm just going to zoom in on today. That way we can pick on this just for today. Really? All of the this is why I don't like demo accounts sometimes. Oh, no wonder I ran the February. I was like, come on. Hey, there we go. That's a lot smaller. So let's go over here. I'll pick on an invoice, and then I'll show you. Let me actually create a new job. That way, I'll show you what the technicians see on their end. Come on. A service job. Okay, let me go over here. And let me arrive myself.
And if while she's going through this, if any one of you guys like, whoa, slow down, I don't understand that step, please jump in and
stop me. Okay, so let me create a new estimate. Let's see. Um, okay, let me go add. Maybe I'll add this as being an add-on. Nah, let me just add a new. Let me just add a new service. Okay, so right now I didn't select either of these as being an add-on. But if one of these was an add-on, what would end up happening is there's this little toggle switch, and it'll look different on the iPad, but it'll have this little toggle switch right here that'll say add-on. So if that's blue and kind of checked off, that's what's going to drive that particular column. If you don't have a task that's an add-on, then of course, you don't there nothing will drive that particular column. And then so that's the add-ons or additional repairs is on that. Now the accessory add-ons, this is something that is new and different. Um, what this is driving from is a new category in the menu price guide. So if you don't already have it, we need to get it added in order for this column to populate. And that column drives from, let me go over here, this this new category right here called system enhancements. So you're still going to have your accessory category. So one of these categories will still be accessory, but then you'll have a totally separate one for system enhancements. And the difference there is that under accessory, that's basically we needed to repair a particular item that's listed as an accessory. So let's say the thermostat was bad and they had to replace that in order to get the system up and running versus you had a, you know, maybe just a regular digital thermostat and we wanted to upgrade you to the Wi-Fi thermostat or something thereof, non-programmable versus programmable, that sort of thing. So if it's an upgrade or an add-on beyond the normal repair, they go into system enhancements, and then inside of system enhancements, they'll pick the task code, whatever they're looking for, and then pick the one that best fits them. So if this is the one that they're selling, just say, yeah, this is the one, mark it as an add-on, and add it to the invoice. And so that's what that particular column is pulling from. So if it's listed as um, system enhancements or SE, that's what the task codes start with. Let me see if I can go in here and no, it's not telling me the task code number, but I bet if I went, let me go to a print preview. Yeah, so if it starts with SE right here, that's what that's pulling from. So let me go back. Now the lead column, I'll show you that here in a second, and then the replacement dollars, what that's pulling from is any invoices that have task codes beginning with the number. So on any of your HCD task codes, or if you're using the 991005, that pulls in to that replacement column. So any of the HCD task codes that begin with the number or 991005, because that one's specifically for equipment. Advantage plans, where that's pulling in from is it looks at the customer record and it says, is this customer currently a member? Yes or no? And then that will drive this particular opportunity column. If the customer is not a member, it's saying there was an opportunity to sell one. And then Actual being the number of advantage or jobs with Advantage plans. So not number of plans, just number of jobs with Advantage plans. So let me pull in. I'll just throw a membership on here. Let's go. We'll add that one. Okay, so you have your estimate. Customer signs off on it. So let's do sell, perform the work now. Okay, so let's do add a payment. Oh, clicked way too fast. Okay, and let me say this isn't required. Okay, so now that that's completed, let me go over here and refresh my big board. Okay, perfect. So this was my technician that I was playing around with. Because I added a task code with that little add-on check mark box, it pulls in that there was a one. I actually sold, an add-on. And then the accessory, because I used the SE task code, it's pulling that in. And then a little bit further down, because I sold the Advantage plan, it's showing that. So the way that lead and replacement pulls is like this. Whenever you have a job, so I'll say that this job that I just completed is going to be a lead for my comfort designer to go out on. What needs to happen, the technicians need to let you know that, hey, this is a lead that needs to be flipped to the comfort designer. But what happens is in the office, rather than just going to book a new job, the next plan of action or the next follow up step is that you go to this job that they just completed, or if it's hanging out here under invoice, just click on it. So this is a job right here. Just click on it and go over to the job screen, um, and then you can do that next step. So the next step is you hit this drop down box, and almost towards the bottom, there's a button here that says lead. So to get there again, I just hit this little blue action button and then go down to lead. And then it says, so you want to create another job uh, to generate, from this one being a lead, who generated the lead, and you would pick the technician who is actually flipped over the lead and create the new job. So don't go book the new job under calls, book the new job from within this current job. Because then what ends up happening is, excuse me, on this new job, if you look at this little edit pencil, it'll let you know down here at the bottom, this was a lead that was generated from another job, this was the job number, and this was the technician that generated the lead. So then let me save this. And then when I book the next job, let me assign it to technician, and I'll dispatch it, arrive it. Let me complete it. Okay, so Comfort Designer goes out, and they're going to do one of two things. They're either going to quote the customer and sell it, or they're going to quote the customer and not sell it. In order to track the estimates with inside of Service Titan, you have to create the estimate. So most of the time, comfort designers aren't using Service Titan Mobile. They're just using the CD Pro site, and then you can always print out the estimate and enter it in. Because what will end up happening is on that estimate, it'll have the task codes for that can be entered into Service Titan. So you can create an estimate and leave it open, or if it was sold and it needs to be, the next step is okay, we need to schedule the install. You can go in and just add the task. So whenever you go add the task, it's just like a regular invoice, except for the fact that you guys are going to be entering it into the office versus uh, entering in on the iPad. So if we go, let's just I'll throw some stuff on here. And each time you put in a task code that again begins with this number, that's what's going to pull into the replacement dollars. Or if you use, this is what I was talking about earlier, 1005. Okay, so you have this invoice, it's completed, and then the next step would be to schedule that install. And again, always go back to the original job to book the next, you know, phase or call or job, whatever we're calling it, um, because that's what's going to trigger every little, you know, the next chain reaction. So from this one, you can it'll automatically create this thing. I forgot to mention that in my in my last step, is that it creates a project automatically. Whenever you said that this one was a lead, but you can go to this project and book a new job. So we say, okay, the next step in this process is needing to book a new job for the install. So you do this book job. Let's see, installation. Sure, we'll assign it to James. And so you can look at your project to see, okay, yeah, these are all of the things that happened, but a good thing to note is that each of these jobs or invoices are independent of each other. You can group them all together as this one, and you could present the customer with one big project invoice. You say, yeah, this is everything that we've done for this, you know, group of jobs, or you can go to each individual job or invoice, print that out, and bill it separately. So it's, even though it lumps them together as one project, they're totally independent. But whenever you go to your big board, let me go refresh this again. Now it's pulling that in that says, okay, here's my, I guess I have another job that's marked as a lead. Um, but here are my oh, those are the jobs that I ran. My apologies on that. Here's my lead, my replacement dollars, and everything else kind of still stays the same. And of course, it's tracking it all the way down through the blue revenue generated side. Now, one thing that I didn't mention earlier was this hours worked column. And the way that the hours worked, what that's pulling in from is on the jobs, each job has its own unique timesheet, and that's what it's pulling in from. So whenever the technician goes dispatched, it'll start their time. Whenever they mark active, it puts another little timestamp, and then whenever they finish the job, it'll put the final timestamp that says, okay, yeah, you were uh, dispatched for X time, working for this time, and you can look at the timesheet here, and it'll let you know what happened on this job. If you need to edit or modify it, you can always do that. But that's where it's pulling in to this hours worked column. And this could also include like office time or basically any paid time that the technician has. So you can have inside of Service Titan, you can book non-job timesheets. And what will end up happening is if a particular status is marked as um, that it's paid, that's also what tracks their time. So to do a non-job timesheet, all you would have to do is you find your technician on the dispatch screen, you click on it, and you can do this non-job timesheet option, and then book them, a time and a status. So we say, okay, yep, this is what they were doing. Oh, actually, I don't have very many statuses, but I could say that this other, I'm going to call that a team meeting, and then you could put in their time on that. So anything that they need to be paid paid for um, could be listed as hours worked. So do you guys have any questions or anything that needs to be clarified?
Okay, well, yeah, I do. So, the setup part of this is, what's the first step that they would need to do if they wanted to start using this as a cooking tool, especially on the accessories, being that there's a change there? What's the first step for them to do?
Yeah, the first step I would say is to reach out to either Shannon West or Noel Tarter. And what they'll end up doing is inside of your price guide, they'll go in. Let me see. I'll go pick on. There's a new section that will basically add to your price book, and it doesn't hurt anything because it's its own separate little category. Now, if you have been updating your prices inside of Service Titan directly, just let them know because what will end up happening is they'll import this section only and it won't interfere with any of the other changes that they've already made. Because what will end up happening is if this is added to your current book, but your current book on the MPG site doesn't match what's inside of Service Titan, you're going to get that. Um, what will end up happening is when we refresh from the MPG site, it will overwrite all of your changes that you've already made. So that's the thing to keep in mind is if you've been manually making changes to your Service Titan, just let them know. But this is the first step: is get with one of them. They'll add this new section to your price book. You may want to double check um, that the items listed in here as your system enhancements are actually things that you do. Because you might come over here underneath thermostat and some of these descriptions might not match what you already do, or you might have more in this list, might have less in this list. Just something to keep in mind that these accessories are correct. So that's the first
So,
step.
Amy and Scott, have y'all made changes in your menu pricing guide in Service Titan, or have y'all always stayed on the menu pricing guide site?
I've done it in Service Titan. Is that your question?
Yes. Yeah. Amy, how about
Okay.
you?
Yeah, honestly, Eric and Jessica have taken care of that, and I don't know. She was on the phone a minute ago, so I don't know if she's on right now, but I am not sure. But I guess what I'm wondering, Josie, is that if there are changes, okay, if you have these prices for these accessories because we haven't had this section in other places, it doesn't really hurt. They just won't get credit on the big board if they don't do it in the correct place.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and
Yeah,
so
that.
Scott would just need to, on his side, he just needs to let Shannon and know that he's made changes in Service Titan and just be careful. I just don't want to be a situation where we flip the switch and then it's just a mess. And
No, yeah, no. What'll end up happening is they'll basically just take this book and say, okay, what's your current labor rate, and they'll go in and modify the labor rate here, or they'll ask you what's your trip fee or your surcharge. They'll modify this so that it's correct, and make sure that these prices are where they need to be for your area. You say, okay,
Okay.
do these prices look correct? Is this what you normally sell this for? And they'll import only this little extra category only, because that's the way this one is. This is just the SE category only. They'll import that, and you just get this new little category section.
Hey, Josie, is
Yeah.
the system enhancement heading in there? What I would probably do is just go in and build my own.
Ah, okay.
Is that possible?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, all right. Well, that seems simpler for me rather than having to import stuff and maybe overwrite what I've already changed and all that stuff. So, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that's fine.
Sure. Yeah, and that's the thing. Whatever the best option, we want the options, and that's best for you to do it that way. The other thing on iPads, I know David Arns. I think he has already uploaded the new book, and but you have to. What's the process after you do that? If you have iPads, do you have to sync it up? Is there a process?
I think you just update the iPads and they all sync up.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, all that needs to happen is on the iPad, technicians just need to click on their little. Oh, it's actually the refresh wheel. I keep thinking it's the picture. Click this little refresh wheel and then download Pricebook. And once they download the Pricebook, it'll sync it all up together.
It's really rather simple.
Okay, I did
Easy
talk to
enough.
Eric, and Eric said that he has been doing everything through Menu Pricing Guide, but we've had, I mean, every time things get updated, something happens and our prices get all screwed up. So we're very not excited about updating things because it seems like we have to totally redo stuff over and over again.
Yeah, then I think at least in that aspect, Amy, that just have Eric work with Shannon or Noel, either one of them, but tell them to only import this new SE section. Tell them don't to not edit the whole book.
Okay.
And I'll let Shannon know our discussion as well, so
Okay.
she'll be just about it.
Okay.
Even though now Scott has just said he is the go-to now for this, right? Scott.
Yeah, right. I'm an expert.
Yeah. And so, if it's something that you feel like, I know that we're going to be cautious with Amy's book, but Scott, is this something that you're going to go ahead and add and start using as a coaching tool, you think?
Oh, I believe so.
Yeah, I think Jessica will be thrilled to have the computer generated big board because our guys are motivated by numbers. I have a few techs that are very motivated. And the thing is that if it's updated on completion, then they're going to be a lot more motivated to complete and also to, hit each of those. So I think it'll work well for us.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
I agree.
what we want to hear.
Having the board projected on the wall, because I'll use my projector and everybody can see everybody's numbers and they don't have to go fill in the blanks with whatever they want to make up. This will be better.
Yeah, exactly. And then they hit you guys back up and say, hey, no, I did X jobs last week. I had 10 accessories. Okay, well, let's find out why these numbers aren't driving.
They'll be wanting to stop the clock too, so the margin per hour is looking.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, well, we'll send this out. If you could go ahead and stop the recording now. So
Yeah.
if